The Hegemony Council had called it merciful exile. When Earth refused to surrender its sovereignty, they didn't destroy humanity. They simply dumped 40,000 human prisoners on Zirian 7, a planet that had killed every species that tried to colonize it. The atmospheric processors had failed. The soil was toxic. The water was acidic. Previous colonization attempts by 5 different species had all ended the same way. Complete extinction within 2 years. Governor Krextar personally oversaw the deportation, watching the rusty transport ships dump their human cargo with basic supplies, enough for maybe 6 months if rationed carefully. He filed his report with satisfaction. The human problem has been resolved. Zirian 7 will finish what we chose not to. That was 15 years ago. Now, Krextar stood on the bridge of the Hegemony inspection vessel, staring at the impossible data his sensors were providing. Where there should have been 40,000 corpses and dead soil, his screens showed a sprawling civilization. Green fields stretched across continents. Cities rose from what had been toxic wasteland. The atmospheric readings showed oxygen levels approaching Earth normal. There must be a malfunction, his science officer insisted, running diagnostics for the 5th time. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. We're being hailed from the surface. On screen appeared a human woman, weathered but healthy, wearing clothes that looked handmade but sturdy. Behind her, through a window, Krextar could see children playing in what appeared to be a garden. Playing in soil that should have killed them in hours. Governor Krextar, the woman said with a slight smile. I'm Director Rebecca Thompson, elected leader of New Terra. We've been expecting you. Impossible, Krextar sputtered. Zirian 7 is a death world. The toxins alone were neutralized in year 3, Thompson interrupted. The acidic water? We used it to break down the toxic compounds in the soil, created a feedback loop that turned poisons into fertilizer. Basic chemistry, really? Just needed someone stubborn enough to keep trying different combinations. She gestured to someone off-screen, and the display split to show multiple views of the planet. Vast fungal networks covered the formerly barren ground, slowly converting the hostile environment. Genetically modified Earth bacteria thrived in conditions that killed everything else. Massive atmospheric processors, clearly built from salvaged parts of the transport ships, hummed with activity. But the previous colonies, 5 species tried. 5 species tried to force the planet to accept them, Thompson corrected. We didn't have that luxury. We had to accept the planet first, then convince it to accept us back. The Altarians died because they couldn't adapt to the atmosphere. We couldn't breathe it either, so we changed it. The Rogathans couldn't eat the native plants. Neither could we, so we engineered new ones using the local genetic material as a base. The tour continued. Humans hadn't just survived, they'd thrived. The toxic rain that had dissolved previous settlements had been channeled into industrial processes. The violent storms that ravaged the planet were harnessed for power. Even the deadly native microorganisms had been domesticated, turned into biological factories producing medicine and materials. The funny thing about humans, Thompson continued, is that we evolved on a planet that kept trying to kill us. Ice ages, plagues, disasters, Earth wasn't kind. So when you dropped us here, expecting us to die, you just gave us a new puzzle to solve. A challenge. She showed them the schools where children learned biochemistry alongside reading, where survival skills were taught as naturally as mathematics. The hospitals where former doctors worked alongside miners and engineers to create medical equipment from whatever they could salvage or grow. The farms where prison guards and pickpockets worked side by side, united by necessity. You sent us your unwanted, Thompson said. Prisoners, dissidents, the poor, the sick. You sent us engineers who wouldn't follow your rules, scientists who asked uncomfortable questions, farmers who refused to leave their land. You sent us dreamers and rebels and people too stubborn to die when told to. Krextar's third stomach churned as the implications hit him. The hegemony had created something unprecedented. A human colony with no supply lines to cut, no diplomatic ties to threaten, no reason to follow hegemony law. They were completely self-sufficient and owed the galaxy nothing. What do you want? He asked, fearing the answer. Thompson laughed. Want? Governor, we have everything we need. Clean air, cleaner than Earth's now. Food, water, shelter, community. Our children will never know hunger or war. We turned your death sentence into paradise. She leaned forward. But if you're asking what comes next, we're opening trade negotiations next month. Turns out, the biofilms we developed to survive here can repair damaged ecosystems on other worlds. The atmospheric processors we built from scrap could terraform dead planets. Every poison on this world became a resource. Every challenge became an innovation. The transmission ended with children's laughter echoing across a world that should have been silent.